Hi, it's Mr. Smith. I know that there's quite a few people that don't understand how to do the second part of the communication models assignment, so I wanted to make this really quick, just kind of walk you through the initial part and really kind of understanding the transactional model, because I know that there's quite a bit of information to cover, and I want to make sure that everyone can understand exactly what is happening as you do this assignment. So first, the exact same thing. You can click on the notes to help you. So I have the notes open here just in case if I need them. I have the clip open right here, so I'm going to walk through at least filling out the chart. I'm going to try to do as much as I can in the next 5 minutes, and then I'm going to stop and make sure that I've done what I can. So when we look at the transactional model, we see that there is a place for prior to communication and after communication. So that's one difference between this model and other models. The other models do not talk about the context or the setting in which communication is taking place before or after actual communication. In fact, we don't really see a lot of context in either of the models beforehand. We also don't see a lot of feedback, and I think that that's what's tripping up quite a few people. So I think that one thing that we really need to understand is that feedback and messages are the same thing, sort of. Feedback is going to be a message, regardless of whether or not you intended it for it to be sent. So remember that feedback can be intentional, non intentional, verbal, or non-verbal. So literally anything that anyone says to anyone else is verbal feedback. Okay? So now that we understand that, let's hopefully try to really kind of figure out how we're going to do this. So to kind of help, I'm going to start from the clip. I'm going to start the clip from the very beginning, just to make sure that we can kind of work through it. All right, let's turn it up just a little bit. You know damn well why. Back off. Okay, so let's start with the Iron Man line where he says, "Why shouldn't the guy let off a little steam?" So let me type that in right now. Iron Man is source one since he's the one speaking. Source one message. Why shouldn't the guy let off a little steam? Source one channel speaking slash hearing. Receiver one is Captain America, and he is also source two. He says, "You know damn well why, so back off." Now, then from there, we can say that Captain America, he kind of like shoves off Iron Man's like arm. So we could also have counted that as a message, but let's keep it simple for now. So since he said that, that is still speaking. Receiver two is Iron Man. Noise is emotional noise in the room. And we also know that Thor interrupts them later. Okay, so we've already kind of figured that out from like part one of the assignment. Now, this is the new thing, context prior to communication. So what was happening before this scene? If you haven't seen the movie, you have to kind of make a guess. But just kind of knowing basically generally about the movies, Captain America, Iron Man are frustrated at each other and their circumstances. So feedback one, let's go back to the clip. You know damn well why. Back off. I'm starting to want you to make me. Okay, so I'm starting to want you to make me. That's technically feedback because it's a message. Okay, so we can say, I'm starting to want you to make me. The feedback one channel, that's going to be spoken slash voice. Now, feedback induced adaptation. Okay, so since Iron Man gave the feedback one, we need to look and see what Captain America does to adapt to his feedback. So let's see what he does. Okay, big man in a suit of armor while he circles around Iron Man. That is an intimidation tactic. So we can say, Cap attempts to intimidate Iron Man by circling around him and challenging him, or let's say challenging his character without his armor. All right. So because of that feedback-induced adaptation, we're going to see feedback from Iron Man. So big man in a suit of armor, take all that off. What are you? All right. That's feedback number 2. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. Okay, feedback 2 channel is spoken, voice, and feedback induced adaptation. So based off of that, so we know that Iron Man gave that feedback because Cap asked him a question, and so what Iron Man just did is technically counted. It counts as feedback induced adaptation, but now we have to see what Cap does because of the feedback that Iron Man just gave him. I know guys with none of that worth 10 of you. So he again attacks Iron Man's selfishness. Okay. Then he also challenges him as a hero because earlier he says, or no, I think that might be a different line, but challenges his heroic behaviors. And in the context after communication, Cap and Iron Man fail to understand each other. Oh, I hit the 5 minute mark already. Cap and Iron Man fail to understand each other and never really become friends. But they do learn to work together. So hopefully that kind of makes more sense. Feedback is just another message, and then adapting to that feedback or adapting to that message, that counts as feedback induced adaptation. Context before and after communication is the setting in which the communication is taking place. So when it says context prior to communication, what's the setting like before they start talking, and what's the setting like after they're done talking? And then from there, you have that last question. Now that you've analyzed the message using this model, what are the benefits to using this model, and what are the limitations of using it? So you're figuring out what's good about this model and what's not good about this model. Now, while you are making this, if you're watching this video, please do not use the examples that I just used, but I hope that really helps you understand how you're supposed to do the transactional model and how every piece of feedback still counts as a message. That being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow.